Good day everybody, this is BA and Dawn, and I am back with a video that's a little bit different. So, I ended up doing a Summoners Duels S run, and I'm gonna actually go through the matches, like the actual matches tomorrow. What I'm gonna do today is basically just rate this new CYL units based off of like my experiences in SDS as to who's the most meta impactful, okay? So we're actually gonna look at this in two parts. I'm gonna do the inheritable skills they come with later, like after, but first I wanna just talk about the units themselves. So like with their kits, what they can do, yada yada yada, right? And don't worry, they're not D tier. I just had to put them up there because the tier list maker I found is kind of annoying to work with, but this is what we're at. Okay, so first off, let's talk about let's get some units. So we're not actually gonna be using D tier. We're only gonna be using S, A, B, and C, just because I don't think any of them are truly useless. Plus, there's only 4 of them, and I don't need 5 tiers. So D is just like the resting tier. So first off, we're gonna go from lowest to highest, in my personal opinion, with the lowest being... actually that's a good question. I gotta have to say the lowest is Corrin. I'm sorry. She looked good on paper, but the problem is... her biggest strength is the Divine Vein. It's the terrain. But that's also her weakness. Without it, she cannot live nearly as good as she needs to. She needs the Divine Thing, the terrain to be active in order to survive better, but she's not getting it reliably. She's like... basically what I ended up doing and how I got through Corrin, because I use an AoE unit. I use Happy. And she smoked Corrin. And it was the dumbest way possible. I just went first! That's it! That's all you gotta do to beat Corrin, is literally just go first with an AoE unit and she just dies. Like, she cannot protect without the terrain, but she needs to go first to get the terrain. But if you're going first, that gives the enemy an opponent to rush you, and it's just... In SDS, which is what this tier list is based on, is SDS. She does not have a place in that mode. Not really. Like, I am sorry, guys. She is fast. She can be tanky. With the right supports and the right kit, she could possibly do much better. I had no problem destroying her. Her terrain thing did nothing for me. It slowed me down to the point where I just had to go first. So the problem with the Corrin is the enemy wants to keep their team together inside the terrain, so you can't AoE them, right? Now, the problem with that is all their units have to move inside the terrain, so they're using almost the maximum amount of actions you can. And also, they're not overextending. They're not. It's not aggressive, which is also the downfall. The downfall of this kind of unit. And basically all I did was I used the most powerful weapon in the game, the end turn button. Screwed her up so bad. Happy could kill her. Happy went from not being able to do much damage to her to being able to one-shot her because the terrain was not there. I just kept Happy outside of range. End of turn. I go first. Delete. Then people either surrendered or they got steamrolled. Like, Corrin is not a challenge. I'm sorry. For all you Corrin fans, I do apologize if this seems a bit harsh. It's just based off of what I fought against, all the Corrins that I fought against, she did not meet my expectations. Because, again, what you need to do is you need to make sure you go first, but you also need to make sure you survive and outlast your opponent in order to force yourself to go first. But basically what you have is a unit who's wasting an action, putting up a terrain, and then just sitting there. She's not really doing anything else. And honestly, I cannot put Corrin any higher than the worst possible tier. Because, like, she doesn't even die to specific units. She dies to action economy. If you just go first, she, like, if you're playing her, if your opponent goes first, she dies. Like, majority of the time. It is atrocious. So, I'm sorry, I cannot place her any higher than that. Next up is Golveg. So, the thing with Golveg is, she is a great nuke. Don't get me wrong. She's a great flying nuke. She could pair well with Legendary Hinoka, which I saw a couple times. She could do well with, units that debuff. Like, you could go an AoE build on her, but my problem with her is Gale Force has no place in SD. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. It's like, ooh, you killed me and you can act again. Or you killed a unit of mine and then my enemy can act again, but I'm just gonna kill them, and then Gale Force was useless. That's my problem. Gale Force is just not a thing in SD. It really isn't. It would be funny if it was. It would be fantastic if it ever actually worked. But the way SD operates, there is no place for Golveg. But she's a great nuke. So just that alone puts her over Corrin, because at least the... Golveg kind of has two jobs. She's kind of a hard-hitting nuke, and she's also kind of a... And she's also Gale Force. Half her job doesn't work. Half her kit doesn't work in SD. But the rest does, so she gets points for that. Meanwhile, Corrin, the one thing she does well is save and support. But she needs to support to save good, and without the terrain, she just flops. So that's why I put Golveg above Corrin. Like, what else can I say? I'm sorry, guys. This video is gonna get so much hate, but I'm spitting facts, okay? I am sorry. There's no way. Go to the comment section, tell me why I should put Corrin above any of the others. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to hear. What puts Corrin above anyone else? Like, come on. Anyway, next up, I'm actually gonna put Robin as second best, because I actually used him in my Cav line, which is fucking wacky, I know. But hear me out. He can warp a really long ways away, and buff the entire team. And a +6 to every single stat in combat on top of all the other buffs is fucking nuts. So, I used him on my Cav line team with Happy, with T. Sigurd, with Duodogger, and with Valentine's Crom. And holy shit. Not only was he a fantastic bait unit, but he also sets up plays for Duodogger extremely well. Because he could just warp ahead, and like, if there's a unit that like runs off, kills and then cantos, but can't canto too far, he can warp in front of them, above, beside, below, whatever, and get another kill. His range is fucking nuts. If I actually put this unit on an actual team that would actually use him really well, and not just because I just want to dick around a little bit, he would be amazing. He's a fantastic unit. The only flaw for him is, like, the only things I have an issue with Brave Robin about is two things, right? First off, God Sword. We have a lot of them. Now, I know he's not a stereotypical God Sword. He can do different things. He can do unique things. He's still a sword infantry unit that is fast, that hits hard, and that can damage reduction stack. God Sword, baby! But his main thing is the warping ability, which is awesome, but I'm a little concerned about Gatekeeper's refine in about a week. So if Gatekeeper gets a top tier refine, Robin's gonna suck. His whole gimmick's gone, which is not great. And Thoki can remove it too. So you know, that's 2 units that hard counter him. Or 1 that can, 1 that could. But yeah, I loved using Robin. He was actually funnily amazing on my team, which is fucking baffling, but I used him to great effect, and I love them bits. He's definitely I only used 1 of the CYL units, and that was Robin, and I cannot complain. But there is 1 unit that I still have to admit better, even though I didn't use him. Mainly that's just because I don't know how to build teams. Soren's going right to the top, baby. So who would have fucking thought that Soren would be the best CYL unit for Summoners Duels? Right? Like, without looking at the banner trailer, looking at the top, looking at the units we're getting, period. Just like Soren, Robin, Gulvig, Korn. Who would have thought Soren would have been the best? But he is. So, I spent a lot of time talking in the Phaology server and the Summoners Duels channel. And the link to that's down in the description below, by the way. Shout out to Phaology, y'all are freaking amazing. And like, there's a lot of really interesting ways to use Soren. Either Soren created and allows you to use 2 saves on a team, a near and a far, which is technically not allowed originally, but now because Soren can grant decoy as a buff, or like a visible status effect, you can have 2 save skill users, 1 near, 1 far, on an SD team, which is toxic. However, that's not all. So, what you can also do is you can actually have a backup save unit, which a good amount of people are actually doing. Basically, by a backup, I mean in case your first save user dies, you have an extra one. So, like, let's say you have like a Harmonized Tiki as your far saver, right? Harmonized Tiki dies. Soren can then grant the buff to another unit. So like, let's say you have Harmonized Tiki. Soren's just doubling, like the effect just gets canceled out. But if Tiki dies, he can buff the next person in line, and then the next person in line. So he just keeps creating save skill users, which is kind of toxic. Like, that's a really good way to run them, and honestly, there's no way in my mind I could put Soren below any of these units. He is amazing. He's an absolute threat in SD. I'm gonna go 2 different ways you could do Soren, and just think about this, okay? Far save, duo Ymir with Flare, or far save, duo Asker. What are you going to do about that? You can't do jack squat, because they also have a near saver, probably. And good luck with that. Like, oh my god, dude. Soren is just toxic, and I love him to bits. I didn't use him. I might use him, but I didn't this time. But I like what he can do. Anyway, if you guys have any issues with these placements, let me know down in the comment section below. Again, I ask a question if, like, there's a specific reason why one's above the other, in my view. Soren's at the top because he can only be countered by 1 unit, and that's Thoki. While Robin can be countered by 1, maybe 2. Gulvig gets half countered by her own Gale Force disability in SD. And Korn disables herself by just losing to a game mechanic. So, that's the logic right there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, this is B-Rated on signing off. Bye. See you, everybody. I hope you had fun.